Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. You may continue with redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were talking about stalking, Ms. LaViolette.
Yes.
All right. And were you asked questions about stalking behavior on behalf of Ms. Arias, alleged behavior on behalf of Ms. Arias?
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those things, too. You were specifically asked about that there's this breakup at the end of June, and then she moves to Mesa. She was in California at the time, and then she moves to Mesa after that, right?
Yes.
And whether or not you considered that any type of stalking behavior, right?
Yes.
When she moved, from the time of the breakup to the time she moved, and then after that, was there continued contact between the both of them?
Yes, there was.
And it wasn't just one-sided contact, was it?
No, both people were contacting each other.
And once she moved there, moved to Mesa, Mr. Alexander continued to contact her, right?
Yes, he did.
Judge, may I approach? I'm showing you Exhibit 395 and 395.001. They're almost the same. One has a date on it. Do you see those?
Yes. Yes.
I'll confirm the date on the back. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the other one. All right, and from your understanding, is this an email from Mr. Alexander to Miss Arias?
Yes.
And the email, there's a picture, and this is Exhibit 395.001 in evidence. There's a picture of a maid, right, in a sexy maid outfit.
Correct.
And based on the timing of this email, do we know that it was sent from Mr. Alexander on August 2nd, 2007?
Yes.
And so he sent her an email with a picture of a maid outfit, right?
Yes.
Just shortly after she moved.
Correct.
And is it your understanding that Miss Arias would clean Mr. Alexander's home?
Yes.
And when she did he want her to wear a maid outfit like this? Is that the idea?
It's indicated.
Okay. And this is something that he requested of her shortly after she moved to Mesa.
Yes.
Does that indicate any fear on his behalf at all of her?
No, not that I can see. Overruled. Not that I can see.
Generally speaking, would you expect somebody who is someone who's afraid of a stalker to allow them come over to their house and clean it?
No, you would not expect that to happen.
Would you expect them to allow them to come to their house when you're not home to not only to clean it and be there while you're not there?
No, you would not expect that.
And so she moves to Mesa, and then there were some the contact between the two parties continued from August on, right?
Correct.
And in fact, in September, the next month, did he take her on a trip to Havasupai?
Yes, he did.
And on that particular trip, were they together with Mr. Freeman and Ms. Freeman?
Yes, they were.
When they took a trip to New Mexico the next month, were they alone?
They were alone the next month.
Is that typical of somebody to take vacations with their stalker?
No, you don't see people taking vacations with their stalker.
Or I guess a stalker, or just somebody who they're afraid of, like that?
No, you try to get away from your stalker.
And do you see any evidence of that in the context of their relationship?
No, I don't.
There was some conversation about, or questions about, when Miss Arias came to Mr. Alexander's house and saw that he was with another woman in August of 2007, right?
Yes.
The implication was that that's some type of stalking behavior, right?
Correct.
However, you were asked the question that the fact that she came over and saw him with another woman, is this an indication that their relationship is over because isn't this an indication that the relationship is over because he's with another woman? Do you remember that question?
Yes.
But if we were to consider the fact that Mr. Alexander's with another woman to be an indication that a relationship is over, then wouldn't we have to consider that Miss Andrews' relationship was over as well?
Yes.
Because wasn't he also in August of 2007 in a relationship with Miss Andrews?
Yes.
And was he in a relationship with Miss Andrews at the same time that he's still in a relationship with Jodi?
Yes, he was.
And I guess then still at the same time that he's caught on the couch making out with some unknown woman.
Correct.
So would that be an unfair characterization to say that because he's caught making out with another woman, that Jodi is supposed to understand that their relationship is over, given on his past behavior?
Objection, relevance, foundation, unfair.
Sustained.
To your knowledge, did Miss Arias catch him cheating when they were officially dating?
Yes, she did.
And is that something that throughout their relationship did you see a pattern of?
Yes.
What was the pattern that you saw?
The pattern was in general through written information between women, but there were a couple of women at least that he had face-to-face contact with, as of evidenced in their instant messages or their G chats. I don't know what those things are, but
Okay.
they were in the written materials.
And he's having these conversations with these women?
He's had sexual conversations, flirtatious conversations, and at least with three of them has had face-to-face time with them.
And during these conversations, part of the time during these conversations, is he also still dating Miss Andrews?
Yes.
And after Miss Andrews, was he pursuing a woman named Mimi Hall?
Yes, he was.
And while he's pursuing Mimi Hall, is he also having these sexual conversations with these other women?
Yes, he is.
And besides having these sexual conversations with these other women, is he also having a relationship with Jodi?
Yes, he is.
On May 2nd, so now this is 17 days prior to him complaining that he's supposedly afraid of Jodi, and this is exhibit number 392. You see from Travis Alexander at the top?
Yes.
And you see that he sends a text message, send me some of the pictures I want to see of you right now.
Yes.
Is that something that somebody would ask for pictures from somebody they were afraid of?
Well, if you're talking about in a stalking range, I would say no.
Okay. And are you aware of throughout the relationship between Miss Arias and Mr. Alexander, did Mr. Alexander ask Miss Arias for, I don't know if you want to say naughty or nude photos, did he ask for those types of photos from her more than once?
Yes.
And so 17 days before he complains about being afraid of her, he's asking for that as well.
Objection. Foundation. The modifier, please. Extremely afraid.
Judge, may we approach?
You may continue.
Okay, so April 7th, 2008. All right, so we're talking about the text message, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you remember being asked questions about this long tirade on the second part of this text message, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you were asked questions about the importance of whether it's Michelle or Maria. Do you remember that? Or Marie, right?
Correct.
Can you tell us what importance this text message has for you? And if you need to review the text message up by yourself, I can bring it to you. Just let me know.
That would be good if I could look at it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
Can you tell us why this text message was relevant to your consideration with regard to their relationship?
Yes. Do you want it back?
You can keep it. Well, yeah, I'll keep it. Thanks. Okay. So can you tell us why this is relevant to your consideration?
For several reasons. One reason is that there was, at the time that they were talking about this story, which was about Maria or Michelle, that he was furious, he was angry, he was over the top with his anger, but he was angry about something that was actually happening. He was confronting or yelling at Jodi for giving him a BS story when in fact the story was true. At that time he was having a relationship with Lisa Andrews, and so it wasn't a BS story. It was a story that was true, and he got very angry and sort of went over the top. In addition to that, he threatens her. He tells her that he's going to tell people about her craziness and all that sort of thing.
You talked a little bit about that this morning. The prosecutor was asking you questions about he was saying stalking, and I think your answer was that seems more like blackmailing behavior.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And blackmailing behavior when somebody threatens to send nasty, untrue information about another person out to the public?
Yes.
And is that something then, are you seeing that type of behavior here? When he threatens to tell all her close friends and her family about crazy things she's done?
Yes.
And then the threats, and does he go on then with the threats at the very end about after tomorrow it's going to get bad for you? Do you see that at the last?
Yes, and that feel the wrath.
All right. And is that something, why is that important to you?
Well, it doesn't just happen this time. There's more of a pattern of him throwing out, and they're not specific threats like I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do that to you. They're more general threats like feel the wrath or my worst is worse, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And he does that in more than one situation. He repeats that.
And so is it not just this one particular conversation that you're relying upon in formulating your assessment that this was a domestically violent relationship?
No, it was based on lots of information.
Okay. And you can see that in this text message that we see the prosecutor talk to you about how he's blaming her for lying, right?
Yes.
And when in fact, this whole conversation is about the fact that he was cheating on Lisa Andrews, right?
Correct.
But that was true, wasn't it?
It was true.
And so we see him lying, blaming Jodi for lying, but in fact, wasn't it Mr. Alexander who was lying about his own relationship?
Yes, he was.
And in fact, when he's blaming Jodi for lying, he's blaming her for lying about something that was actually true.
Yes, he is.
Okay.